Alright, yeah, and welcome back to the third and final episode with our mono red burn deck. So, only small amount of changes to the deck this week. One of you guys suggested a Bedlam Reveler to keep our hand quite full, and I think that's kind of a good idea. I couldn't quite fit in two Bedlam Revelers because I wasn't really sure what to cut in its place. We're essentially cutting burn at that point. I was thinking maybe Fiery Tempers, but they are really good if you can discard them. So maybe a Fiery Temper for an extra Bedlam Reveler, but what I've done is essentially cut a land, because what I've found during all of our games is that we're drawing way too many, so I think 22 lands might actually just be the case. And Bedlam Reveler, for those who don't know what it is 6 and 2 red, although that will never be the case when we end up casting it for the most part. It is a 3/4 creature with prowess, and it costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. So all of the burn we've cast up to that point will make Bedlam Reveler cheaper. And when he enters the battlefield, we discard our hand, which could be used to trigger Madness. And he also lets us draw 3 cards after that, which refills our hand full of action, essentially. So we can get this guy down for as cheap as 2 mana for a 3/4 with prowess that draws us 3 cards. Usually, we're going to be playing this in an empty hand or in a hand full of Fiery Tempers. Anyway, those are the changes for the deck. Let's go on to the matches. I'll see you there. Alright, we're in. We've got a 3-lander and a lot of 3-drops and a Bedlam Reveler. It's okay if we draw some cheap stuff. And we're on the play as well, which is where we want to be, but we want really a more aggressive start than this. It's risky, but I think I'm going to keep it. Play a mountain. We've got essentially the ideal number of lands, so we risk mulliganing into less than that and into a lot more expensive stuff. At least everything we've got here is castable and awesome. Nonetheless, our opponent is on red themselves. If it is an aggro strategy, we might be in for some interesting matchups here. We'll have to see. We don't want to be focusing too much on our opponent's creatures, though. So, Thermal Alchemist to come down, which is actually decent. Hitting a 2-drop on turn 2. Ain't nothing too bad at all. So, we can ping for 1 with the Thermal Alchemist. And next turn we could even Lathnu Hellion, which won't untap the Alchemist. But it might be better than doing a Hungry Flames on a creature, we'll see. Harsh Mentor. Harsh Mentor needs to die because we can't use Thermal Alchemist. It is a triggered, an activated ability on a creature, unfortunately. So that will deal us 2 while we're only dealing 1. So that needs to die. So it looks like it's going to be... we miss out on 1 point of damage, unfortunately, unless we get really greedy, which we don't. We could also just Lathnu Hellion and maybe save this for another turn, because see if he wants to block it. Like our original plan. Because we can Hungry Flames, deal 2 to our opponent, tap to deal 3. Or we can Lathnu Hellion, potentially dealing 5 if he doesn't block, and then a little bit more following that on the next turn. If he plays a 1 toughness creature, Harness Lightning can pay enough energy to keep the Hellion around as well. Yeah, let's see if he wants to block here. He may very well choose to do so, although this is currently locking our Alchemist down, which he may be aware of. He lets it go. Okay. Well, we've got a blocker for his Harsh Mentor. Just hit him for 4, which is a decent amount. We get to pay the energy to keep it around. Unfortunately, Harness Lightning's not going to be able to do a great deal unless he plays a 1 toughness creature here. Because we want to really use the other 2 energy to pay for Lathnu Hellion to keep it around for another turn. That'd be nice. But it may just end up being Hungry Flames, attacking with a Hellion, tap for the Alchemist, that kind of thing. Collective Defiance. Okay, is that for the Alchemist or the Hellion? Either one's fine. Hellion's dying next turn, most likely. Okay. That's fine. It's burn not pointed at us, but it is, of course, a little bit less damage. Shock, eh? Shock might be actually a little bit better here, because we shock and kill the Harsh Mentor, which allows us to tap the Alchemist, and then we can harness lightning with the other 2 mana if he plays a creature in its place, which untaps the Alchemist and we can tap again. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do it on his turn though, there's no reason to do it right now. He might have a pump spell or something like that and we can trick it out of him. Killing in response, or they might just be a better target, we'll see. But there's a lot of power in this Thermo Alchemist that's just not being utilised because of this Harsh Mentor. What is that? 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. Sure. Not a great deal we can do about that. If he goes to shock, well, he's going to go Twin Bolt. So what we're going to do is shock his Harsh Mentor. Ours resolves first, so we can now tap without paying life, take him to 15. It's not insane value, but there you go. Another Chandra. It's not ideal. We really need another land. This Bedlam Reveler's looking really sorry for itself right now. Costing a whole 7 with our 3 mana on board. He is here for late game potential anyway, so it's not as if I really expected him to. Oh dear. That's an insult. So any 2 mana burn spell or hasty creature he plays now is going to do double damage. Hope for a hasty creature because we can deal with it ourselves. Twin Bolt, 4 damage. Okay. I'm just wondering, is that everybody? If a source you control would deal damage. Alright, never mind. Yeah! Alright, Chandra comes down. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand, so Chandra's going to do some serious work here. He's probably going to remain untouched for quite some time. Hits a Dynavolt Tower off the top. That's not too bad. Obviously, when you tapped out, you'd prefer to hit a land off the Chandra Plus, but if we get to 7, we just win. And if we get to untap, we get to protect Chandra with our burn spells, so we get closer to that ultimate. So our opponent probably just drew into a land there. They got 1 card in hand, which is definitely not enough to kill a Chandra. So whatever it is, we get to keep her around. Looks like our opponent is going to pass. My guess is that's telegraphing a burn spell that hits creatures and players. Because maybe he's passing for the instant speed removal of something like a Hellion, perhaps. Right, we're going to plus Chandra here, I think. We could also plus her in mana. Play Thermo Alchemist, Collective Defiance, but yeah. I think we'll just plus her to cast an extra card for that advantage. Hit a land that time, which means Thermo Alchemist is coming down to protect Chandra. He needs a burn spell to keep her in check, because now we've got a blocker, which can take her to 7. It looks like this is essentially just a mirror match, with using Blazing Volleys and the sort. Okay. Discards with the Blood Rage Brawler. That might be what he drew last time, maybe. Expecting that he couldn't cast it unless he had a card in hand. I don't know. I don't know what his excuse for that could be. Injury. 2 damage to Chandra. 2 damage to the Alchemist. Sure. That is annoying. I think we're going to Hungry Flames the Brawler just because it doesn't have a target otherwise. Play a land. Tick up Chandra. What do we hit? A shock. Yeah, we cast that. Point at our opponent. Triggering the Thermo Alchemist. 2 damage to our opponent, taking them to 8. Tap it again to take them to 7. And then Hungry Flames can kill the Brawler. Probably best doing it now, just in case he has a pump spell. So kill the Brawler. 2 damage to our opponent, take them to 5. A virtual 4 with the Alchemist. And we've got them dead next turn. How much does Reveler cost now? 8, 7, 6, 5. We can actually cast the Bedlam Reveler as well. Not that we need to. Take him down to 4. He hit a land drop, so that is all she wrote for our opponent. And there's a Fiery Temper as well, even more burn. Down to 3. Fiery Temper your face. Down to 0. Beautiful. It's an interesting little mirror match. It seems as though our opponent ended up drawing slightly too many lands for his own good there as well, so that's probably why it was not so difficult for us to win that one. I reckon he just got flooded way too much and we just didn't, so yeah. Anyway, on to the next game. See you there. Alright, we're in 4-lander, but we do have a turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3 burn spell. We're on the draw as well. As long as we don't draw a land, I reckon this hand's reasonable. We've got the Ether Hubs as well to pump up the Harness Lightning, so we're going to be able to hit a lot of stuff with this if it ends up going into the later game. Wandering Fumarole. Okay, so just don't draw a land here. Of course. Of course. Alright, pass the turn. The curse. The curse is real. Alright, Sulphur Falls, another tap land. I think we'll just shock our opponent's face. Just play on our curve. If our opponent has a creature next turn, we Harness Lightning it. Hungry Flames, awesome. Some more creature removal, slash a little bit of player to the face burn as well. So, Evolving Wilds into Glintness Crane. Okay. It's blue-red Thopters then? Or just artifacts in general? Quite possibly. I'm not going to Harness Lightning that. I think we're going to Hungry Flames while we still have the opportunity. Let's see what our opponent cracks here. Maybe it's a 3-colour deck. I get the feeling it might be. No, still is it. Alright. We draw Fiery Temper. That is nice. That is nice. We're going to play an Ether Hub though, and we're going to pass the turn. Just going to Hungry Flames the Glintness Crane unless we find something else, maybe pre-combat that we want to hit. Maybe even post-combat, to be perfectly honest. It's only 1 damage. This gives our opponent the opportunity to maybe use a pump spell or stick an aura on it. In which case we punish them. Cracks the Revolving Wilds. If they don't grab a 3rd colour here, it's 100% just not going to be one. Yeah, it's just blue-red. Okay. It's certainly going to be a unique deck. I don't think it's going to be anything we've seen before. I'm going to wait on the Hungry Flames just because I reckon there's a good chance the next creature might be more worthwhile killing. And we take 1 damage to find that out, essentially. Which is fine. They pass. Okay. Maybe it's a counter spell then. And they just let it go. Alright. That's 2 instants and sorceries, so any our uncounterable spells are now online, which is sweet. We've got plenty of burn for that Fumarole if he decides that's the route that he wants to take. I doubt it, but we'll see. Taps out entirely for a Sky Sovereign. Okay. Well, in which case, Fiery Temper your face. Down to 13. Wish you wouldn't have tapped like that game, because I could have shocked there. Lightning Axe. Lightning Axe deals with the Sky Sovereign, so that is a wonderful draw. Harness Lightning could have done it as well, thanks to these Ether Hubs. Somebody asks me why I'm playing Ether Hubs in a multicoloured deck, and this is precisely the reason. Because this just gets stretched a little bit further. And we've already got triple red, so... Combustible Gear Hulk. Why do you have to be a 6/6? Yup. Alright, we're going to have to let that one go. Question is, do we let him draw or do we just take 3? I feel like there's a good chance we hit loads of low converted mana cost cards. There's also, with a Sky Sovereign and a Gear Hulk, there's also a good chance we hit some really expensive stuff. It's a risk. Let's not let him draw. So we take 4. It's not bad. We got Harness Lightning for the Sky Sovereign. And then we can Lightning Axe plus Fiery Temper to take out the Gear Hulk. It's damage I didn't want to point at our opponent's creatures, but it's something we have to do. Let's kill that now. 5 damage. And we get a Blood Rage Brawler. Not ideal until we get our hand empty, because I don't want to discard Fiery Temper to it, because I need to kill this Gear Hulk. It's going to kill us faster than we can kill our opponent. So the plan is to Lightning Axe plus Fiery Temper, and then we've got Shock Open then as well. So we kill the Gear Hulk, take our opponent to 11. And then we've got Blood Rage Brawler and an extra card in hand next turn, which might be a Fiery Temper worth discarding. Or just something castable. So I think the line that we're running now is the most efficient as it stands. Saheeli's Artistry. Right. He wants to make a copy of his Gear Hulk. We can't allow that. So, create a token copy of an artifact. Create an artifact token of target creature. He wants to make 2 copies, in fact. We are going to Fiery Temper and Lightning Axe it. So that's dead. We'll also shock his face. He's taken a turn out, lost his biggest creature. And whiffs on the Artistry. Right, either a Madness card or something castable in its place. Firecraft is fine, actually. Firecraft plus Blood Rage Brawler, all good. It's uncounterable, though he's tapped out, so it doesn't matter. And then a Brawler, nothing to discard, so full value there as well. We've got a 4/3, which will kill our opponent in 2 turns. If he taps his Fumarole anyway, and has no removal. Which I don't think either of those things are going to happen, so... Still a few turns to go. So, how many instants? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bedlam Reveler would be amazing. He'd cost 2 mana at this point, and would draw us 3 cards. Okay. Hey! Alright, so our opponent right now is setting up a trade here. I'm fine with that because it taps him out, which means this Reveler is going to resolve if he is running counter spells, which I'm not entirely certain that he is. But whatever happens here, he's likely... No? He's just going to let it go. Interesting. He's at 3. So we play the Reveler. If it gets countered, he needs to answer the Brawler. If it doesn't get countered, we may just draw into a game-winning card. I think it needs to happen. Yeah, he's not got counters. Draw 3 cards. Remove it all you want. I'm drawing 3. Seer's Lantern to Scry. Looking for answers. So if we just hit a Firecraft, we win. If we hit a Fiery Temper, we win next turn. What else have we got that could win right now? Well, a land into a Blood Rage Brawler. Seems pretty good. He's only a 2-coloured deck, so exquisite, not exquisite firecraft, radiant flames cannot hit this board. I think there's just too many threats for him to work on right now. Inventor's Fair. Not enough artifacts to trigger it. Three cards in hand, 3 threats on board, all of them capable of killing him. So all 3 of those, or at least one of them, needs to answer all 3 of these creatures. And 3 toughness is not an easy thing to answer. So he's got a blocker for 1, and then 3 mana left open. Yep, he's got nothing. We got this. Passes the turn. I'm curious what he has in hand, but I'm sure we'll never know. There's a Thermo Alchemist. We'll not bother casting that, because we are just going to go straight in for lethal. GG. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for today's episode. So if you did enjoy the content, then be sure to like and subscribe. I do run a Patreon as well, so if you did like the look of this deck and you want to see more of it, as a reward for anybody who donates even the minimum amount on Patreon, you'll get access to a 4th video of the burn deck coming out tomorrow, as well as every other deck that I've ever built for the past couple of weeks is also on there available. All you have to do is donate, so it's completely optional as well. I don't need you to do it. If you want to support the channel or you just want to see some more content, it's available for you there anyway, and I do appreciate every last donation that gets made as well. The support has just been insane, so thank you very much guys. So if you did enjoy, like and subscribe and hit that little bell icon as well to get notified when I release new videos. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.